Alright, so if you haven't been following my videos, I'll leave a link in the description that has a whole bunch of videos that I have been creating, and I've been talking about how a lot of these stories in the media are all interrelated. It's because these stories are scripted by the Freemasons and people alike who control the media, control the sports leagues, control the movies, control pretty much anything you've ever believed in. But just a quick recap here, I've talked about Colin Kaepernick not standing during the national anthem. That was on the same day that Dwayne Wade's cousin was killed. It was also on the anniversary of the Bridgewater shooting that happened in Roanoke, Virginia last year. And then a few days later, we got the Teddy Bridgewater injury. And I talked about how Dwayne Wade was significant in regards to the Nebraska Cornhuskers because last year, Dwayne Wade went to a Nebraska Cornhusker game. It was the first game of the season where BYU beat them with 33 points. Anyway, that game was on a day that left 117 days in the year. Dwayne Wade is born on January 17th, a lot like 117. I talked about Colin Kaepernick, how in the original article about him not standing, they were comparing him to Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali, born the same day as Dwayne Wade, he died of Parkinson's disease. And if you add that up in gematria, it equals 117. And like I said, I'll leave a link to other videos. I'll leave a link to my how-to gematria video so you can understand why I am coming up with the numbers that I am coming up with. Anyway, 117 days left till the end of the year. Then they were both born on Muhammad Ali and Dwayne Wade, both born on January 17th, a lot like 117. The first tweet in the CNN article even was at 117. Dwayne Wade signed with the Chicago Bulls on July 6th, 7/6. That was the same day that Nebraska Cornhuskers coach Mike Riley was born. A ton of other stuff in regards to that. But we had the death of Sam Foltz, the Nebraska punter. Also the death of Mike Sadler, the Michigan State former kicker. And last year, on November 7th, 11-7, a lot like 117, Nebraska upset Michigan State. And it just so happened to be the same weekend that Teddy Bridgewater got knocked out against the Rams, and then now he gets injured just before playing the Rams. And I talked about how Nebraska is connected to San Francisco and Moses. They play in the Sea of Red. Moses parted the Red Sea. Nebraska and gematria equals 71. The Ten Commandments equals 71. Moses equals 71. The Nebraska played in Levi Stadium where the 49ers played last year for their bowl game. Moses was in the tribe of Levi. And, a ton more stuff that I mentioned in the previous video. I also talked about how it's connected to the Civil War or the civil rights type stuff that a lot of this is all evolved around. And think about it. Moses freed the slaves. Abraham Lincoln freed the slaves. If you write out Lincoln, Nebraska, the small way in gematria, it equals 60. If you write out Abraham Lincoln, the small way equals 60. So anyway, another thing that I talked about in regards to Dwayne Wade in Nebraska, he went there with his wife, Gabrielle Union Lincoln, the Union Army against the Confederates, right? So anyway, on September 2nd, we got this as a top headline on ESPN. Union to 49ers. Police might boycott home games. Just interesting. Union, think about the Civil War once again. The Union is going to boycott, maybe. Union equals 28 in gematria. Boycott also equals 28. What I thought was interesting then, it's the Santa Clara Police Union. Because, Levi Stadium is in Santa Clara in the San Francisco Bay Area. Santa Clara Police in gematria equals 150 and 60. Just like Lincoln, Nebraska. If you write out San Francisco Bay, it also equals 150 and 60. Remember, Abraham Lincoln equals 60. Nebraska's punter who died, if you write out his name, Samuel Foltz, it also equals 150. I even mentioned how his middle name is Noah, just in regards to the biblical theme and Moses. And think about Moses and the ram. Aries, the ram, he got mad at the golden calf. I also mentioned how Wisconsin is super connected. That's where Sam Foltz and Mike Sadler died. That's where Colin Kaepernick is from, Milwaukee. Dwayne Wade went to college at Marquette in Milwaukee. I mentioned how it's connected to the 1971 college football championship where Nebraska beat LSU and got their first championship. Then LSU plays in Lambeau Field where the Packers play for their first game of the season. Anyway, Green Bay Packers also equals 150, just like Lincoln, Nebraska, just like Santa Clara Police, San Francisco Bay. I also put in Philadelphia Eagles in here because I had talked about the San Francisco 49ers coach, Chip Kelly, who was the former Philadelphia Eagles coach, and he replaced Andy Reid, who is the Kansas City Chiefs coach. The Chiefs also play in the Sea of Red. They have Alex Smith, who used to play with Kaepernick. And Alex Smith, they even lose the Super Bowl against Baltimore. It was the Harbaugh versus the Harbaugh. And Chip Kelly gets replaced in Philadelphia by one of Andy Reid's coaches at Kansas City, Doug Peterson. So I mentioned how there was just a huge web of stuff going on. There's a whole lot more to it. I'm just kind of skimming through and explaining why it's significant. All of these things have identical gematria. And look who the Vikings quarterback is now. Sam Bradford of the Philadelphia Eagles. And I made this post and I talked about all of this before Sam Bradford, the former Eagles quarterback, is the one who the Vikings get to replace Teddy Bridgewater, That was on September 3rd. I even made this post on September 2nd. My last video, I don't even know what day I put that out on, 9/1 maybe. And I'll eventually show why Sam Bradford going to Minnesota is even more significant. His birthday is literally the same day that Teddy Bridgewater got hurt last year against the Rams when he got knocked out against a guy from Miami, Teddy Bridgewater from Miami. The 1971 Super Bowl was in Miami. The 1971 College National Championship where Nebraska beat LSU was in Miami. But anyway, let's move on. So this article talking about the Santa Clara Police Union. Santa Clara Police Union in gematria equals 88 the small way, 223 the big way. If you write out the Synagogue of Satan, it also equals 88 with the S exception and 223 the big way. And remember, in regards to San Francisco and Kaepernick, the Church of Satan was founded in San Francisco. In regards to 150, a lot of this stuff goes back to July 6th. Like I said, that was the day of the Alton Sterling stuff that was in the news. Also the same day we got the Philando Castile stuff in the news. Mike Riley's birthday, the day that Dwayne Wade signed with the Chicago Bulls. And in the Alton Sterling stuff, when they interviewed the family, they even had the guy standing up, hugging Alton Sterling's supposed son, and he's wearing the Miami Heat hat. So just interesting, it was 150 days after Super Bowl 50. And in the last video, I even mentioned how I think that there's something significant about this Ben Franklin Bridge. So I talked about Teddy Bridgewater and also the bridge collapse in Minneapolis. And I mentioned how I think it might have something to do with the Mormon Bridge in Omaha. There's a whole lot that I'm not going to re-explain, but I mentioned how there's something connected to these bridges in Bridgewater, the Minnesota Bridge, the Mormon Bridge, and also the Ben Franklin Bridge, a bridge that I have talked about a lot. I have mentioned a lot of stuff in regards to earthquakes in regards to this as well. A possible earthquake that would maybe collapse this bridge or something along the lines of that. And I even mentioned about an earthquake, and the very next day there was an earthquake just before the Nebraska football game. The earthquake wasn't in Nebraska, it was in Oklahoma, but it was felt, in Iowa, Nebraska, Texas. And just think about that in regards to Sam Bradford, who played college at Oklahoma with Adrian Peterson in Adrian Peterson's senior year. Adrian Peterson, the Viking. So anyway, let's look at this Ben Franklin Bridge then. It was actually built in honor of the 150th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence. And in regards to earthquakes, and the one we had on Saturday, that earthquake was a 5.6. It was the same day that Oklahoma lost, and the total score was 56 points. If you write out Sam Bradford in gematria, Sam Bradford also equals 56. And the reason that I mention the significance of 56 is because the Declaration of Independence was signed by 56 people. The first one was John Hancock, who died at the age of 56. The last one to sign it to die was Charles Carroll III, and he died exactly 56 years after the Declaration of Independence was signed. There's a lot of 56 in this story. We also have had a lot of bad things in regards to 56. Paris, France equals 56. ISIS equals 56. Osama bin Laden equals 56. Adolf Hitler equals 56. Saddam Hussein equals 56. The word president also equals 56. And in regards to Abraham Lincoln and all of the domestic violence, civil war, civil rights type stuff that we've been getting pounded with in the media, Abraham Lincoln died at the age of 56. He died in August, the only month that equals 56. He also died in the year 65, the reflection of 56. And if you write out the word Philadelphia, Philadelphia equals 65, a lot like the year that Abraham Lincoln was assassinated. Abraham Lincoln also assassinated with a gun called the Philadelphia Derringer. So anyway, 150th anniversary of the United States is why this bridge was built. And then all these 150s that I mentioned. It actually opened 3 days before the 150th anniversary. It opened on 7/1. Now think about that in regards to what I said about Moses and Nebraska. The word Catholic also equals 71. There's a lot of stuff that stems back to Pope Francis's visit to the United States last year. The last place that he went was to Philadelphia. He gave a speech using Abraham Lincoln's Gettysburg Address lectern. He then left on the night that we got the final blood moon of the Tetrad. Pope Francis, also born 71 years after Abraham Lincoln was assassinated. I've also talked about how Philadelphia comes from the Bible, it comes from the book of Revelation, and Philadelphia also used to be the capital of the country Jordan until the year 106 AD, and it was later destroyed by earthquakes. And Michael Jordan plays a huge part in a lot of this. Michael Jordan even first retired on October 6th, a lot like 106. And I mean, there's just a whole bunch more going on with Michael Jordan. Sam Foltz and Mike Sadler even died on the 23rd anniversary of Michael Jordan's dad dying. And think about Michael Jordan, number 23, the 23rd anniversary of his dad dying. It's also the first day of the dog days of summer. A lot of this goes back to a Teen Wolf stuff that I've mentioned in regards to the NBA All-Star Week of 2015, where Zach LaVine, the Teen Wolf, did the Space Jam dunk, connecting it to Michael Jordan. But the movie Teen Wolf has Nebraska stuff in the background. The movie's not set or filmed in Nebraska. They even have the school play about the Civil War. And the NBA All-Star Week that week, it happened to fall on the exact same 3 days as the Roman festival of Lupercalia, where they celebrate and sacrifice a wolf or a dog. And think about his dad dying on the first day of the dog days of summer, the same day that Nebraska punter Sam Foltz dies, and Nebraska's connected to Teen Wolf. And then think about how Jim Harbaugh comes in a little bit. Jim Harbaugh, the coach of the Michigan Wolverines now. Jim Harbaugh, as a player, played for the San Diego Chargers. And just think about that in regards to Colin Kaepernick, the second time that he knelt or whatever. He knelt this time in a game against the San Diego Chargers. And then we got this guy, Eric Reed, who joins him. Eric Reed wears number 35. You know, Nebraska equals 35 in gematria. Eric Reed in gematria equals 53 and 71. The 71, once again, connecting to the Moses theme. Nebraska equals 71. Nebraska equals 53 with the S and K exception. And then connecting to the 71 year or whatever, this guy also played at LSU. He's from Baton Rouge, which reminds us of Alton Sterling. But in regards to Jim Harbaugh playing for the Chargers, he played in 1999 and 2000. And that just so happens to be the same year that Nebraska's coach was the coach of the San Diego Chargers. And remember, in the movie Teen Wolf, the mascot is the Beavers, and it's based on the Oregon State Beavers, who this guy used to be the coach of. He's mostly known for being the coach of the Oregon State Beavers. And I mean, he's even, his name in gematria, Mike Riley equals 53. He was born in 53. And want to point out that Jim Harbaugh will even be 53 this year. So, I mean, if they go to a bowl game, which they most likely will, most likely Jim Harbaugh will just be turning 53 years old. You know, also in regards to Nebraska's coach, last year Alabama won the national championship. And look when he played for Alabama, 1971. So the year that Nebraska beat LSU, they beat them on January 1st, 71. And then the next season, Mike Riley became a player at Alabama, and Nebraska beat Alabama in the 1972 national championship. You know, and that was actually the 1971 season. So interesting connections. Anyway, back to this bridge here. So 150 years after the Declaration of Independence, all the 150s. It opened on 7/1, like I said, Nebraska, on a date numerology of 53. Once again, connecting to Nebraska. The engineer of it, his name was Ralph, however you say that, Majewski, which is very interesting. I've been talking about a whole bunch of a Ralph theme that's been going on. I even saw the celebrity roast of Rob Lowe, and they brought in Ralph Macchio, the Karate Kid, Daniel's son. But Ralph, I noticed because of when the Big Lebowski died, and in the movie The Big Lebowski, the big joke is they always go to the store Ralph's. He even signs a check on 9/11 of 91. So the movie was set in 91, and it has John Goodman, who is King Ralph, that came out in 91. If you've noticed, even in regards to NASCAR, Dale Earnhardt Jr. was just saying he doesn't belong in a race car and whatnot. His real name is actually Ralph. But, you know, anyway, gonna move on. The Big Lebowski was connected to Tara Reid as well, I guess. And Tara Reid was connected to Van Wilder, and then we had the death of Gene Wilder. I have videos on it. I'll leave them in the description. Anyway, this guy who engineered the bridge in Philadelphia, the Ben Franklin Bridge, his name in gematria, the small way, even equals 60, just like Lincoln, Nebraska. Also 141, the big way, and it's built over the Delaware River. The Delaware River equals 141. Also, in regards to Nebraska, this guy born on 1/27, super interesting because Nebraska is in its 117th season being named the Cornhuskers, but overall, as Nebraska football team, they've been a team for 127 years. And this guy born on 127. Anyway, it says he was born in 1861. That's the year that the Civil War began. And it also says that he died 151 days after his birthday. But in a non-leap year, that would be 150 days. Just wanted to point that out. But it's interesting both ways. Corn Huskers in Gematria equals 151. This year is 151 years after the Civil War came to an end. Also, Jesus Christ equals 151. Just pointing that out in regards to Philadelphia and the Book of Revelation. Also, San Francisco has the Golden Gate. The Jews believe the Messiah will come through the Golden Gate. And this guy also dies at the age of 79. Lincoln equals 79. Pope Francis is 79 years old right now. The word murder equals 79. He also died 76 years ago. Just once again connecting back to Mike Riley, Dwayne Wade, Alton Sterling. A lot of this stuff goes back to that. Look at Ben Franklin here too. Ben Franklin, born on January 17th, the same day that Dwayne Wade was born, the same day that Muhammad Ali was born. Nebraska's in its 117th season being the Cornhuskers. Ben Franklin even dies on a date numerology of 128. William Penn, the founder of Philadelphia and Pennsylvania, his name equals 128. He founded Pennsylvania, or Pennsylvania became a state on a date numerology of 128. Ben Franklin also dies 90 days after his birthday in the year 1790. 90, a super special number in regards to Freemasonry. If you read out the word 90, it equals 33, like the highest degree. It also equals 87, the big way. If you read out 87, it equals 139 and 58, just like the word Freemasonry equals 139 and 58. So just wanted to point that out. Queen Elizabeth right now is also 90. She died on the same day, or her 90th birthday was the same day that Prince, the singer, died. Prince said that all we can go by is prophecy. Of course, if you write out Ben Franklin equals the same as prophecy, 52 and 106. And remember, Philadelphia connected to 106 through being the capital of Jordan that later got destroyed by earthquakes. In Jewish Gematria, Ben Franklin equals 253, just like Philadelphia, Pennsylvania in simple Gematria. Philadelphia, Pennsylvania in Jewish Gematria equals 1611, a lot like the year that the King James Bible came out. And it supposedly was published on May 2nd of 1611, 5-2, a lot like prophecy, the book of Revelation, the book about prophecy. The 253rd day this year is also 9/9, which is a really symbolic day. I've mentioned last year it was the day that Queen Elizabeth surpassed Queen Victoria for the longest reigning British English monarch of all time. And I mean, there's more to it. It makes me wonder about Prince dying on Queen Elizabeth's birthday as well. Party like it's 1999. But anyway, the reason 99 is also significant is it's a number that's connected to political assassinations. And just think about this for a second. Pope Francis was 15 years old in the year 51. Queen Elizabeth became the queen exactly 51 years, 15 days after Queen Victoria died. Barack Obama is exactly 15 years, 51 days younger than Donald Trump. And there's been a whole lot of stuff that seems to be foreshadowing some type of political assassination. So just wanted to point out the significance between Queen Elizabeth and Queen Victoria and 9/9. Last year, Obama sang Amazing Grace at Clementa Pinckney's funeral after the Charleston church shooting. Charleston is where the Civil War began. But he sang Amazing Grace 9 days after 9 people were shot. The first president to ever die in office was William Henry Harrison, the 9th president. The next president to die in office will be the 9th president. So we have the first president to die in office, the 9th president, then we'd have the 9th president to die in office. And there's a whole bunch of other stuff in regards to that, connecting to 44. You know, William Henry Harrison died on 4/4. 9 months and 9 days after Obama sang Amazing Grace was 4/4. Obama's the 44th president. Also, he's the 43rd person to be the president. So the next president in office, would be the 44th person to be the president. And they would also, if they get assassinated, would be the 9th president. So, who knows? Just wanted to mention a few stuff that I've mentioned previously in regards to Ben Franklin, and he syncs up so well to what I've been talking about, especially in regards to the Ben Franklin Bridge. And think about Bridgewater and the guy who supposedly did the Bridgewater shooting. He supposedly did it because he was mad about the Charleston church shooting, right? And that guy was even from San Francisco. He went to San Francisco State University. There's just a whole lot of stuff going on. Anyway, if you go from the Queen Elizabeth's birthday or also the death of Prince, a span of 141 days. Just want to go back up here. The guy who built the bridge, his name's 141. It's over the Delaware River that equals 141. Also, Prince died on the 112th day of the year this year. And the reason it was the 112th was because it's a leap year. Normally, the 112th day of the year is the day that leaves 253 days in the year. And, Sam Foltz equals 112. Gabrielle Monique Union equals 112. LSU in its 112th season. Sam Foltz dies 1 month, 12 days before Nebraska's first game. He was even born on 21/1, dies 211 days after the Foster Farms Bowl that was played in San Francisco. I mean, there's a whole bunch of stuff I've mentioned previously. I did say I was going to talk about Sam Bradford going to the Minnesota Vikings. I'm just going to end the video here. I'm going to make another video, and I'll throw that in there somewhere. Because I want to talk a little bit about the earthquake that happened the other day, and how Sam Foltz and Sam Bradford and Oklahoma all fit together. Hopefully you get the point of what I'm showing. There's a superscript going on, and it's just a lot of interrelated things, and they use sports to code other events that are going on, and that's why we get headlines like this. Union, Santa Clara Police, because there's a huge thing in regards to civil war going on, so they have to throw in this word right here just to make... most people don't even realize it, and that's the whole point, and they know that. And then they code the story with gematria. But, whatever. I'm going to end the video here. I'll leave a link in the description if you don't know what I'm talking about. You can follow my previous videos. You can also learn how to do what I'm doing. It's very simple to come up with the numbers if you know basic math. And you don't even know how to spell. You can literally just copy and paste stuff, and do it for yourself. But, have a good one.